Hey, what's up there, YouTubers? It's me again, Brian, aka Gamer55551. And for this video, I'm going to be taking a look at my top movies and TV shows of 2025. I am working on my top video games of 2025, but for this one, we'll start with this one though. There are some that have links to me doing the reviews of these stuff. Not all of them have it, but there are certainly some ones out there that I did do reviews of them. So if you do see a link to them, take a look. You can take a look at yourself on those as well, though. But we'll start off first with movies and all for part one, though. And certainly, 2025 definitely had some interesting movies that I saw that were definitely ones that were good, though. Some didn't do as well at the box office as some folks may have thought it would do. But nevertheless, I still thought they were good movies, nevertheless, though. So in terms of the movie side, though, we'll start off first with the honorable mentions. Ones that I enjoyed, but didn't hugely make it onto my top 5 list, though. The first one has to do with Happy Gilmore 2 on Netflix's Happy Gilmore. I know Happy Madison production, when it comes to their movies, can be sort of a hit or miss sometimes. Sometimes they're bad, others view them as they're okay and everything like that. And I felt like Happy Gilmore 2 fits into that one. It's okay and everything. I really didn't expect a sequel to Happy Gilmore by any chance, but I thought this one wasn't as bad. Obviously, it's never going to overtake the original Happy Gilmore released back in 1996, but I still enjoyed it nevertheless. One thing I will say is one of the actors I never heard about until I saw this movie and learned that he was in it was, I believe it was the Latin singer Bad Bunny, who's hosting the halftime show for the Super Bowl this year. And I'll be honest with you, I never really heard of this guy until I saw Happy Gilmore 2 and learned that he was, I believe, the caddy in that movie, to be exact, though. So yeah, Happy Gilmore 2 is an honorable mention. The next one I will say is Netflix's Frankenstein, and this one I enjoyed pretty much as well, though. I like how it sort of told the story between two of the characters, the person who created Frankenstein and Frankenstein himself, and directed by Guillermo del Toro, who has this interesting style when it comes to doing a lot of these films, nevertheless. So I will say it's definitely one of Netflix's, you could say, better films that they have put out before, though. So this one was still pretty good. I would say this would be high on the honorable mention parts in terms of movies of 2025. And last but not least, I will say the last one would be Captain America's Brave New World, the 4th entry into the Captain America series, though. I know that one, some didn't do as well at the box office as some had hoped for, but I still enjoyed it nevertheless, though. Obviously, it's not going to carry the same kind of weight that, Chris Evans did when he played Captain America, though. I still consider Captain America the First Avenger and Winter Soldier with high regards. But I still enjoyed this one, though. I thought Harrison Ford did a good job playing the president. And I like how there was connections with 2008's Incredible Hulk. And at least they had some connections with the Eternals to a certain degree. It feels like Marvel didn't really forget about them, despite that movie not doing as well at the box office as Marvel had hoped for, indeed. But nevertheless, I will say that Captain America Brave New World is sort of a honorable mention, at least in my book and all. So with that out of the way, we'll get started with the top 5 movies, top 5 of 2025 that I enjoyed it all. At number 5 is Thunderbolt, though. I definitely liked the idea with this one. It's sort of like a B-team version of the Avengers in a certain way. And I definitely thought that was really neat indeed, including ranging from U.S. Agent to several of the other characters and all. So it was certainly really neat for this one to be exact. Not to mention to see formerly Winter Soldier being a congressman. That was interesting. And the scene where he's putting that mechanical arm in the dishwasher to get clean, though. So this one I definitely enjoyed. I like the concept and the idea behind it, though. It unfortunately underperformed at the box office, but supposedly it did well on Disney+. But in either case, I would say Thunderbolt, in my view, is at number 5. Number 4 is basically Tron Ares, and I will admit, this one I was a little bit disappointed it didn't do as well at the box office, but I still enjoyed this movie nevertheless. The special effects were good. I liked the idea of the world inside your computer and everything. I just felt like the story I thought was sort of a hit and miss in my view with this one though. I liked the idea of what they were exploring and the idea of those in the world of Tron coming into our world once and for all. But I also felt like I wasn't really sure about the decision to take this soft reboot approach though, as I would have preferred if they had did a continuation of what Tron Legacy was at the end of that one though. And I also thought the ending of it though, basically with the idea of, the grandson of basically the main villain from the original Tron movie, basically playing a role in this movie though, and the ending kind of helps set the stage for what could be, if we ever happens, a Tron 4. Obviously, the film did not do great at the box office, but supposedly it did well on Disney Plus, from what I understand. So, who knows? If a Tron 4 does happen, though, hopefully maybe we'll see whether it's in theaters or in Disney Plus. Though, I mean, the one bright spot is we did get a Tron trilogy, so that certainly was nice indeed. It's just really a shame the box office didn't do well on it, though. Also, I definitely like the music in the game, though. In the movie, though, I do enjoy music from Nine Inch Nails just as much as I enjoyed Tron Legacy's music, which was done by Daft Punks and all. So, number 4 is Tron Ares in this one. Number 3 has to go to Avatar: Fire and Ash. While the movie itself doesn't have the same the way the first one did back in 2009, though, Avatar: Fire and Ash is still an enjoyable film, nevertheless and all. I like the idea of still exploring the world of Pandora, and basically, with Jake Sully's family, including human Spider, which you learn how he starts to breathe the air in Pandora, in which humans are unable to breathe. But what I really liked was the idea of basically this Na'vi Ash, tribe that is basically aligning them up with, the humans and everything like that. I thought that was a very interesting take on the story itself, rather than, all these Na'vis fighting against the human occupation and everything. So I thought that was a really neat idea, and I am looking forward to see if 4 and 5 does happen. If it does, then I think it's time for Jake Sully's kids to take the reign at this point, though. It should 4 and 5 happen, because I think the third one feels like a conclusion of Jake Sully's story, though. It's now time for his kids or the next generation to take that reign in a way. So hopefully we'll see that if 4 and 5 happen, but based on the box office numbers, I would say odds are it probably would. But either way, Avatar: Fire and Ash is at number 3. Number 2 on this one goes to James Gunn, Superman. Now, I know there are some out there who weren't happy that the Snyderverse came to an end and everything, and I can understand that to a certain degree and all, though, but there were a lot of decisions Warner Brothers made at the time of the Snyderverse that didn't exactly go over as well and didn't deliver the box office returns I think Warner Brothers wanted to do and everything like that. And I think with James Gunn's Superman, though, it was still a good movie. Nevertheless, though, he's definitely got a little bit of some of the stuff you saw from his Guardians of the Galaxy days when he did that with the Marvel franchise and everything like that. And it was definitely felt somewhat of a homage to the old Superman movies, the one back in the 80s and everything. So this one was really neat and everything, and I definitely am looking forward to seeing more entries into the James Gunn's DCU and everything. Obviously, Supergirl is next. We know that Jason Momoa will play Lobo on that one, though, and I'm very curious to see what other entries we could see and who might play which role indeed and everything. So James Gunn's Superman is at number 2, and my number 1 movie of 2025 this year is, at least from my perspective, has to go to the Fantastic Four: First Step. As far as the movies on Fantastic Four, it hasn't exactly been get off to the best of starts, though. We saw the ones back in 2005 and 2007, which was called Rise of the Silver Surfer, which didn't sit well with everybody, or didn't do as well at the box office. And then, of course, there was the controversy surrounding with director Josh Trank and the whole issue with that version of Fantastic Four, which unfortunately bombed at the box office big time and everything. But when basically Marvel finally got the rights of basically the Fantastic, or at least the movie rights of Fantastic Four, X-Men, and all the other ones, part of that being Disney buying Fox and everything, we finally got an actual Fantastic Four set in the MCU, but in sort of a multiverse type of approach, and it did not disappoint though. I like the idea of this like 1950s and 1960s futuristic setting that they had for this version of the Fantastic Four. I thought Pedro Pascal did a good job playing Reed Richards and everything, and I thought they finally got Galactus right though. I know there were those who are not happy with how Galactus was portrayed in the Fantastic Four Rise of the Silver Surfer, but they finally got this one correct though. It's going to be interesting to see how the Fantastic Four role is going to be in the upcoming Avengers Doomsday, and even when Avengers Secret Wars comes out as well. But in either case though, the Fantastic Four First Step is my #1 movie for 2025 and all. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we'll get to part 2. And this one will be looking at several of my top TV shows for 2025. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with part 2 of my top movie and TV shows for 2025. And for this one, we're going to be taking a look at the TV show part of it though. So there was certainly no shortage of shows to watch this year for 2025, including some animes as well though. And there were certainly ones that I felt like kind of stuck out with me though. So we'll start off with the honorable mention in terms of the TV show, and we'll start off first with Netflix's Devil May Cry as an honorable mention. I know when it comes to Capcom's IPs or the use of Capcom's IPs for Netflix, I feel like it's kind of was sort of a mixed bag in my approach. Dragon Dogma didn't really click with me. Onimusha, I think, fared better, but still didn't click. Although we did get a new Onimusha, we are getting a new Onimusha game, and we also got Dragon Dogmas 2. And I heard the Resident Evil one did not do as well as they had hoped for. Devil May Cry, in my view, still remains one of the better uses of Capcom's IP that Netflix has done, though. It's not going to overtake, the 2007 anime by Aulx Studio. I believe that's the one that did, though. But it was still enjoyable, nevertheless. And I'm very curious to see what Season 2 is going to play out, though. The other one with Netflix has to do with Castlevania Nocturne, which basically, followed, Richard Belmont in terms of taking place during the French Revolution and all. And that still holds up very well. It may not be as good as the other Castlevania series and everything, but still it was enjoyable nevertheless. Remains to be seen if we'll get a third season or not. I hope we do, but time will ultimately tell if that is the case. But I still enjoyed Netflix's Castlevania series. The other one would be Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, the sort of cartoon computer animated one on Disney Plus, and that one wasn't bad at all. I like the art style to it though. It definitely was try to stay as true to the comic book form as they could, and I certainly think that was a good thing indeed though. While it will never overtake the Spider-Man 1994 series that I remember watching as a kid and everything, it was still a good thing indeed, and I am looking forward to seeing how Season 2 is going to play out with that one. The next one has to do with Season 13 of Hulu's Futurama. Again, I do enjoy the series and everything. I'm glad that Hulu revived this series, even though this series has been revised multiple times in the past, though. There were definitely some nice episodes that stood out, though, including one where Bender takes on sort of like a Godzilla-like creature and everything to basically going through this white hole, which is turned into a black hole to a certain degree. So there were some pretty neat moments and also some funny moments of Indeed. And I'm very curious to see how a season 14 of Futurama is going to play out and all. The next one has to do with basically 2 animes that I saw this week that I think kind of, or not this week, in 2025 that I thought really stood out for me. And that had to do with both Season 1 and Season 2 of Don Don Don. I did enjoy that anime though. It definitely had a FLCL vibe to it to a certain degree, and I thought it was sort of really neat, even if bizarre in a certain degree, ranging from supernatural to aliens and everything. So it was just a odd thing indeed, but still enjoyable nevertheless, and definitely one I would recommend checking out, especially as for a show in 2025. The other one had to do with the second season with the Apothecary Diaries. I enjoyed the first season. I definitely enjoyed the second season. Mao Mao is still a very interesting character, and her love for poison and everything like that with Jinsen, which looked like he's trying to woo Mao Mao, or at least has feelings for Mao Mao, at least based on what I've seen from the show though. But nevertheless, I still enjoyed the second season, and hopefully, I know a third season's in the work, along with, I believe, a movie or something like that, but I am definitely looking forward to seeing more of the Apothecary Diary. Season 3 of Vox Machina was definitely good, though, indeed, though. I definitely still like the approach that they took with that one. It's obviously a conclusion for what was started at the end of Season 1, and sort of like, and indeed in terms of fighting that big giant dragon and everything. I am curious to see if a season 4 does happen or not though, but it would be very interesting to see what direction they would go with Vox Machina. And last but not least is the second season of The Last of Us. Now, I know there were those who were very mixed on this one, especially considering that The Last of Us Part 2 was also a very diverse or very controversial game, depending on who you're asking and everything like that. But nevertheless, I still enjoyed the second season though. Maybe not as good as the first season, but still was good indeed though. Obviously, it focused a bit more on Ellie and her revenge against, I believe the group was called the Grey Wolf. I could be wrong, I apologize if I am. That took out Joel in terms of the fact that one of the girls' dad died because Joel was there to save Ellie, in terms of trying to find a cure for basically this disease that spread that turned people into these plant-like zombies, as we saw from the first season of The Last of Us though. But in either case, I still enjoyed it, and I am looking forward to seeing, I believe they're going to do probably a third and maybe fourth season to sort of conclude with the second game and all, compared to how it was with the first season, which pretty much covered the first game and the DLC and everything. But in either case, the second season of The Last of Us, in my view, is sort of a honorable mention and all. Alright, with that out of the way, I will now get to the top 5 TV shows of 2025 that I thought was good and all. Number 5 has to do with the revival of Hulu's of King of the Hill, the first season and all. This one, when I first saw the trailer and the direction they were going at this, I was very curious to see what they were going to do with this one. And I like the idea of what they approached this. Hank Hill, now somewhat retired and everything, after I thought this was weird, him taking a job with an oil company in Saudi Arabia. That was certainly an odd thing indeed. But it was also nice to see some of the other casts, grow up, like Bobby Hill now being a chef at this Japanese-German fusion restaurant in a way. And so it was certainly an interesting approach for this new season though. Obviously, the person who voiced John Redcorn sadly passed away and everything, and that was very unfortunate, and it remains to be seen what's going to happen to his character, whether they kill him off or they recast the person who voiced that character, just like they did with Dale. I still think it's a little unfortunate we don't see, you know, it's so unfortunate we don't know much about Lucky and Luann as well. Unfortunately, the person who voiced those characters passed away too, so it is a little bit unfortunate. But in either case, though, I did enjoy this revival, and it'll be very interesting to see what a second season of Hulu's King of the Hills and all. At number 4, I would go with basically Creature Commandos. Now, many would view, you know, James Gunn's Superman as the start of the DCU and all, but for me, although some might point to, you know, the Suicide Squad or everything, for me, it was basically Creature Commando though. This one I definitely enjoyed and really was really neat, ranging from, you know, the Bride to pretty much many of the other characters as well. My favorite one is G.I. Robot though. That is my favorite one of all. I mean, maybe because I liked studying World War II and all, but I definitely liked that character the most. I thought that one looked really, really neat and everything and all. So, and it was certainly interesting to see how this took place within the DCU to a certain degree and all. And there were some serious moments, but also some funny moments and everything like that. So that one definitely stood out. I would be curious if a second season does happen or not. It remains to be seen, indeed. But in either case, Creature Commando is at number 4 for me. Excuse me. At number 3 has to be Hulu's Paradise. This was a very interesting idea that they had for this one, indeed, which basically takes place in a bunker where the President of the United States was killed. Basically because a lot of folks were escaping what was an impending apocalyptic disaster that was happening, which basically a megaton volcano erupted in Antarctica and everything. And you sort of follow basically one of the Secret Service agents trying to solve like who killed the president and everything, and some of the secrets of Paradise, to be exact though. I will admit, though, I was a little bit disappointed in terms of who actually killed the president in either way, though. But I still enjoyed the show, nevertheless. And I also liked the different take on Phil Collins' classic song, Another Day in Paradise and all. So that one was certainly a neat indeed. I am very curious to see what the second season is going to be like and what direction they will go. It seems some of it will take place outside of, you know, Paradise and everything, but we'll have to wait and see how the second season is going to play out. It is going to be interesting to see what happened to most of the world following that volcanic eruption in Antarctica, to even the use of the nuclear bomb exchange that happened leading up to basically, you know, the start of Paradise and everything. At number 2 on this one has to go to the Adult Swim show Lazarus though. This one kind of caught my attention indeed, especially learning that it's from the same person who did the classic anime Cowboy Bebop, and I think the other one's called Samurai Champloo, if I'm saying the name correctly. I apologize if I'm not though. And so this is one I definitely wanted to take a look, and this one did not disappoint though. It's basically a group of mostly, some of them criminals, some of them ex-agents trying to solve trying to stop a use of a drug called Lazarus, which a lot of people, which they are trying to find a cure within a certain amount of days. Otherwise, humanity comes to an end and everything like that. But it is still definitely good in terms of the story, along with, you know, the animation looks great. You definitely get that Cowboy Bebop vibe to it, which is certainly a good thing. Indeed, though, it remains to be seen if we get another season or not. This is possible, most likely a one-off, but in either case, though, I still enjoyed it, though. If you have HBO Max, give the show a look, especially if you were a fan of like animes like Cowboy Bebop and so forth. And finally, my number 1 TV show of 2025 has to go to Daredevil Born Again. Up to this point, with the MCU and all, we've always wondered whether or not, you know, Daredevil, especially Netflix's Daredevil, was part of the MCU or not. Same thing with Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., although it has recently come out that one, it sort of may take place in an alternate universe, and it may not be as canon as some folks have made it sound like it is, though. There's been some touch and go. And there was always been wondering about that with this case with, Daredevil. And so when we started to learn that they were going to make the Netflix shows canon, that certainly brought some hope of basically seeing Daredevil again and everything. And we started to see the character premiere again. First appeared in She-Hulk, Attorney at Law, although some have mixed feelings about that show in general though. But in either case though, we started to see them bring back some of those Netflix characters to that with basically, the Punisher and everything. And what's interesting is that it showed New York City under control of the newly elected mayor, Whisk and Fish, aka Kingpin and everything. And basically sort of setting the stage for what we could see in season 2 with, Matt Murdock, facing off with Kingpin and everything. But it's just really good. It's like a gritty, crime drama series and everything. I do like some of the stuff, like some of the cameos, like the dad from Miss Marvel makes an appearance here and everything. And it's going to be very interesting to see exactly how season 2 plays out, especially with the Punisher, which we know what happened to him at the end of season 1. And it's pretty clear that Daredevil is setting the stage to go to war against Kingpin and all. So I am definitely looking forward to what a season 2 is looking like. We know that Jessica Jones will be in season 2. No word about Luke Cage, but given the fact that the Netflix shows are now canon and part of the MCU, I would not be surprised if they try to find a way to bring Luke Cage in and maybe set the stage for bringing the Defenders in to a certain degree. So we'll see how that plays out, but season 1 of Daredevil Born Again is my number 1 TV show for 2025 and all. Okay, this concludes my my thoughts on the top movies and TV shows of 2025. And again, these are my opinion. What are yours? What are your thoughts of my top TV shows and movies of 2025? Do you agree with my list in any way? Do you disagree? Do you think there are some you felt like should have been placed differently? Do you think that there are some that should not have been on this list? Are there ones you felt should have been on this list in any way? Do you agree with what I said in this video? Do you disagree? Do you have a difference of opinion? As always, sound off in the comment section below. Let me know what you think. And if you do like this video, I hope you hit the like button. I would appreciate it. And I hope you do subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you do, make sure you hit the bell icon for notifications of any new videos I put up. Also, feel free to share this video if you want to, and feel free to donate to my channel if you like. You can do it through PayPal Me, Patreon, or Steam Labs. Links will be in the description of this video, so me watching this either on YouTube or Patreon. And I will see you again next time when I do another video. Hopefully that'll be soon. Until then, from Southern California, I wish you all a good day then. Bye.